right, my name is Shana Moore, and I'm a UCSD graduate, class of 2009. I majored in human development and minored in Spanish literature. And I graduated when we had a huge recession, so I couldn't find a job. And for the past 7 years, I've been working as an administrative assistant and project coordinator for the telecommunications and government contracting industries until February when I got laid off, and that happened to have been a blessing in disguise. And that's because I'm a career changer, and my first introduction to code was actually when I was working as an administrative assistant. I had to do a lot of Excel manual processes that would take all day. And when I figured out that there's am I echoing? I'm just hearing it myself. Okay, sorry. And when I figured out that you could basically write macros using Visual Basics to automate processes for Excel, my team was so happy. I was so happy. It felt like magic because those long day processes took seconds, or minutes, if not seconds. And then I got into web development as a result of my YouTube channel because I was interested in creating a mobile app that would complement the content of my channel. And so that's when I started teaching myself HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And a year later, I'm happy to say that today is my 3rd day working as a software engineer for Verve Mobile. So, thank you. And so I'm pretty much give some words of wisdom to anyone who's interested in accomplishing a similar goal. And I realize that I'm talking to probably a lot of developers already, but hopefully these tips will still apply to any goals that you have in your life. So my first tip is to get involved. The first thing that I did when I knew I was interested. So the first picture is a picture of Rails Camp West. And I was lucky enough to have a neighbor named Bobby Lee Hartman, which I'm sure a lot of you know. And she's the organizer of Rails Camp West, and she invited me. And I decided to go, even though I didn't know anything at all. But that was a transformative experience for me because that's where I met a bunch of developers from all over the world, and I was just very inspired by their stories, their careers, and their projects. And then the second picture up there is me at RubyConf. When I got home, I was excited and basically just started looking for all the opportunities that I could get my hands on. And I applied to be a scholar for RubyConf and got a fully paid trip to San Antonio, Texas, and also got paired with a mentor for that whole conference. And as you can see, I met the creator of Ruby, Mats, and yes, he's really nice. And the last, another opportunity that I did was Rails Girls LA, and that's also a free event, and it's similar to Rails Bridge, which we'll talk about in a second. But for that weekend, I got to get paired with a mentor as well, and I was able to build my first Rails application. So basically, there's just so many opportunities out there, but you have to go get them, and you have to put yourself out there and just apply them all, figure out the details later. And while you do that, you're also building your network and also a support system. Which brings me to my second point, which is to find support. So a lot of times, people, when you think about support, you're thinking about your friends and your family, and that's all great too, but I'm also referring to learning tools, because for me, learning how to program has been one of the hardest things I've done. And at the time, I had a full-time job when I was first interested in programming, and so I found a program called Learn Verified, and it's an online JavaScript Ruby school, and that's pretty much where I got the most support in my learning. But I also consulted other tools such as Code School, Team Treehouse, Free Code Camp, Skill Crush, you name it, I probably have done it, and a lot of books as well. And I also recommend going to a bunch of meetup groups, so you guys are already at one, good job. The one that I have to definitely just talk about for a second is Girl Develop It, because Girl Develop It I went to a bunch of meetup groups, but it can often feel discouraging, like as a Black woman, to sometimes go to different tech events and different meetups and just not really see that many women, for example. And so when I found Girl Develop It, I felt like home. And that's where it was just like a judgment-free, safe space of learning with a bunch of women and men from all different backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, ages, like just a very diverse group, and I found a great support system there. In addition to Girl Develop It, I applied to their front-end development scholarship, and as a result of that, I was able to intern at Qualcomm for the past 3 months. And so I also built a support system at Qualcomm while I was there, and that's just an invaluable experience that I couldn't have paid for. So had I not put myself out there and gotten involved with different aspects of the community, I would have missed a lot of great opportunities. Okay, so my next point. So yeah, and learning how to program can be, like I said, for me it was really hard, and sometimes it feels kind of lonely, but you don't have to do this alone. My third point is to not give up. I was just speaking about how hard it can be. And is there anyone who has not seen this video? Okay, I'll play it for you then.
Talk about support.
Do it!
Oh.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
So this video went viral, and it's obviously because he's pretty quirky in the way that he's delivering his message, but I think that the message itself is gold, and which is just basically to go after what you want, full heart, with your full heart, and not to give up. So as I was saying before that, is that learning how to program can be pretty difficult, and to not give up, but I wanted to also offer you some solutions that I found that made my journey a little bit easier. And the first one is to buy a rubber ducky, which I know sounds really silly, especially if you're not a programmer, but there's something called rubber ducky debugging, and when you are just having a rough day, you can't get anything to work, you feel like banging your head against the keyboard, just stop, don't hurt yourself. Talk to your rubber ducky as if he's a person who's going to respond back to you. And you'll see that once you start verbalizing your problems out loud to someone else, such as your duck, you just get a light bulb that goes off in your head and gives you a different idea of how to approach different situation. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's worked for me several times. And then the other part is our error messages. Error messages at first were so scary, and a lot of times they're written in red, and you just, like the red ink when you failed a test in high school, for instance, it's scary, it doesn't feel good. But just think about it differently, that error messages are actually your friend, because they're telling you that something's wrong, and they're also giving you hints and tips to try to figure it out. So error messages are our friends, and so is Google. And then the other quote on the other side, it says, "She believed she could, so she did." You could do whatever pronoun you want there, but I just really believe in positive thinking too, because it was a really emotional journey for me, and it still is. I still have so much to learn, and every day I feel like, I don't know, dumb. But you should treat yourself as if you're your own best friend. You wouldn't tell your best friend, or hopefully you wouldn't tell your best friend that they're dumb. Just always try to think positively and treat yourself with patience and kindness. And then the other part of that is, for me, I know this sounds kind of kooky to some people as well, but visualizations are super important for me, and it's something I have to do every day. And the idea is, if you want to be something, such as a software engineer, every day spend a couple of minutes just visualizing yourself, whatever that might look like, as a software engineer. And soon you're going to see that your physical actions are going to align with those visualizations until those visualizations become a reality. And so, yeah. And then I guess lastly, that if you are still struggling a lot with these tips, that's, my point number one was to get involved. You're building a network, you're finding support. Reach out to those people, because you'll be surprised to see how many people relate to what you already have been through, or what you're going through, and how much those people actually want to help. My fourth point is to be different. Don't be afraid to be yourself and to be unique, because being different is what stands you apart from everyone else. And I've got 3 really good examples to share with you guys here. So I'm really happy to be talking here, which is kind of crazy for me, because I attended my first Full Stack Talks meetup about a year ago, and I didn't know anything at the time. And I was just very excited by the people that I met, and also the people who spoke, that I got home and wrote a blog post recapping what I learned. And somehow that blog post got to the powerful hands of certain people in the Planning Center online, and I received an email with a code challenge inviting me to apply to this company. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't know anything at the time, so I'm not working here. But had I not blogged or just done something, I suppose, different than other people, I may not have gotten that opportunity. And also, that wasn't a wasted opportunity, because I used that code challenge periodically throughout my learning progress to see how I was doing. Like, I knew exactly an idea of what would be expected of me as a developer, and so I could periodically check in with myself to see how I'm learning. The second one that I'd like to talk about is during the actual technical interview process. So I've been interviewing for about at least 2 technical interviews for the past month and a half, and that includes whiteboarding, and I'm not the best at that, to be honest. And so there's a couple examples that there are actually a lot of times when I didn't do that well on a whiteboarding question, but instead of just going home or just saying, "Oh, you're so stupid, Shana," whatever, and wallowing in my pity, I would go home and spend more time on those challenges. And so that when I emailed those interviewers a thank you response, I would also include the solutions to my challenges. And in addition, if I got rejections, which I got a lot of, I would also email them back and ask for feedback. So I want to give you an example of one of the feedbacks I got. But basically, by going home and spending more time on these whiteboarding questions and providing a solution, it kind of shows that in my character that I am not a quitter. I still try hard and want to get to a solution. And yeah, that's one of the responses I received. And then, the last example is one that finally paid off, because I'm working as a software engineer now. And so I applied to Verve Mobile and received a code challenge. And instead of just emailing back the solution to the code challenge, I also recorded a video screencast, just walking through my app, going line by line and explaining my code. And when I submitted my code challenge, the person who hired me said that no one had ever done that before. So that's just another example of how being different really pays off at the end. And then my last tip is not to forget to pay it forward. So I would be lying and super arrogant for me to just stand here and say that I did this by myself, I didn't receive any help, go me, because that's definitely not true. I received a lot of help and encouragement along the way, and giving back is my way of saying thank you to everyone who's helped me and also the organizations that's helped me. So different ways that you could give back is just by sharing your story and helping to inspire other people, or you could go or volunteer at events such as Railsbridge, which I won't go into because Lisa will be presenting that in a moment. But by helping other people achieve their goals, it also helps you because you're reinforcing your skills and what you know. And I know, like, for instance, if you're going to mentor at Railsbridge and teach someone something else, like, you might be a little insecure because you're not an expert yet, but trust me that you're going to be surprised that you know more than what you think. You could talk at events like I'm doing here, and I hate public speaking, so hopefully I'm doing okay. And then the last thing that I'm in particular doing, I receive so much help and support from Girl Develop It. I'm really happy to say that I get to co-lead now. I'm the co-leader, chapter co-leader of Girl Develop It San Diego, and so I'm excited to extend the opportunities that I receive to other people, in addition to help close the diversity in tech issue. And so paying it forward is really a win-win situation, and it's something that I recommend you to consider if you haven't done so already. So yeah, this concludes my talk, and thanks so much for listening. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and you can do it, and good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much.